All right, Professor Nez, how are you today? Happy
I
St.
am
Patrick's
doing
Day.
fantastic. Do I call you Video Pro Mom, Meredith? What do I call you?
You can call me Meredith.
Okay, good.
Uh,
It's
do
nice
I?
to
What
see
do
you,
I
Meredith.
call
Thank you for
you?
having me here. Please call me Nez. All my
Nez.
friends call me Nez. You're
Okay.
like, I love your content. Been following you for a long time, so I
Well,
feel like we're
thanks.
buddies.
Yeah, I just put on my greenish background.
I have my green
Um,
shirt just
for
for
St.
you. No, I'm kidding.
for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, that looks good.
um, all right, so I wanted to have you on because, well, and it's been a while. It's been almost a year. I actually went back through your um, Facebook profile because you posted something about a year ago about secondary education, like the system of secondary education. And I know that you talk a lot in your content about the creator economy. And with your background in secondary education, combined with what you know and experience about the creator economy, I was like, I need to talk to this guy. We need to have an in-depth conversation about this because I don't think there are as many people talking about it who have the context of having been in the secondary education world. You know what I mean? So I wanted to have you on to chat about that. Does that sound cool to you?
That sounds awesome. Yes, I'm very, very happy to chat about that, and I have a lot to
So
say about it.
I
You're
feel
gonna have to
like you
stop
do.
me.
I know I feel like we're gonna open the floodgates. So let me give like a brief sort of background. I think we connected on Clubhouse, right? Like initially.
Yeah, I think if memory serves me correct, yeah, I think you're right. I think we first connected on Clubhouse, but I think because your content is awesome, and you and I kind of have similar types of brands and content. And I was like, man, she's on fire. I've always liked your content. I always thought it was super helpful, especially what you're doing right now with Instagram. I love your short form video and kind of how you're debunking a lot of myths. It's so cool. But
With
yeah, I think the
Instagram.
very first time that you and I actually interacted might have been on either Clubhouse or Spaces or one of those audio platforms for sure.
Yeah. Cool. And so that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Must have been.
It feels like yesterday that
Are you on there anymore, by the way? I'm never on there
I
anymore.
like never open it up. Every once in a while I open it up and I'm like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still here."
Yeah. It's funny. I marvel at how I was able to, and I'm sure you do too, Meredith. How are we able to even be on there with our schedules? I don't even know how. There were times where I was literally on there for hours, and I'm like, "Huh?"
Yeah, I don't know. I used to like multitask, like sort of
Yeah,
half listen and then just like anything that I could do while listening, I would just do that. And now I just listen to podcasts and I
right,
don't even know what's going
right.
on over there.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I remember you and I hosted a couple of rooms, and
Yeah.
I just, to me, it's all about energy and connection. And I just loved your vibe. And I just thought, because I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people in the so called creator space that, sometimes you hit it off and then sometimes you don't. And I felt immediately, I just felt like, yeah, she's my jam. This is my kind of people, especially the fact that you're a mom with kids.
Awesome. So you are also a parent, and you live in California, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Southern California.
So
Yeah.
we're on opposite sides of the country because I'm in upstate New York.
Right.
So can you give me a background of like just introduce yourself? Who are
Yeah.
you? What do you do now? Where did you come from? How'd you get here?
Yeah, no, thank you. It's so funny because I've kind of been running businesses my whole life. Like I helped my mom start her leather shoe business and handbag business when I was 13. I, had a catering company at one point. I've been, in the kind of internet ecosystem forever. And then I kind of left all that and I wanted to I kind of had like a midlife crisis at 23. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, I had this thought in my head, you know what? It'd be kind of cool because I love writing and I always love the creative arts. And I always kind of saw myself as sort of like this Ernest Hemingway type. Like it'd be so cool to make money off of books. And this is way before the internet, even way before social media, etc., way before the creator economy. And I thought, you know what? Maybe a way to supplement my income instead of this hustle bustle of running all these businesses, I would go into the public sector. And so I went and got my master's, and I thought, man, it would be so cool to teach, make money teaching something I love. Okay, sound familiar? Creator economy, right? Way before the creator economy. Make money teaching something I love, which was teaching writing, teaching communications, etc. And so I finally became a professor at universities, and I was an adjunct professor. I was never a full-time professor, thank God. I can talk about that later if you want me to. Um, and then I was so shocked, Meredith. I was so shocked, and I think this ties into what you and I are about to talk about. I was just so shocked at the lack of innovation, the lack of camaraderie. I had this vision, like I was going to go to the university. Like I met cutthroats in business. I met ruthless people in business. Nothing compares to the university system, especially in the United States. I was completely flabbergasted. I couldn't believe the level of cutthroatness, the level of ruthlessness, the lack of innovation, the lack of care, especially in the bureaucratic side. But even on the colleague side and the faculty side, I was really surprised. Um, and I was super, super disappointed, super chagrined. And then in 2016, just to make a long story short, I had a student come up to me. I know, I'm sorry. I could talk
No,
forever.
it's
You got to
fine.
cut
It's
me
fine.
off.
Keep going.
But I had a student come up to me, Meredith, in 2016, or actually 2015, and say, Professor Nez, I just spent $100,000 on a piece of paper, AKA a degree, and nobody will hire me. And it absolutely broke my heart, Meredith. It broke my heart. And because you know why it broke my heart is not only the fact that she spent all that money, but the fact that I knew why she wasn't getting hired. Because the stuff that they were teaching her, this was at a business school, the stuff that they were teaching her, and she had one of my classes, the stuff that the people, the powers that be think is valuable to students has literally zero connection to the real world. It's tragic. And I can get into that even more, but that's when I started my YouTube channel. And that's when I started going live on Periscope and Meerkat. These are all dead now, Blab. And I, said, I'm going to give away everything for free. And I never could believe that it would be a full-time thing. I never thought in my head this would be something I could actually earn a sustainable living doing. Never knew anything. What? Creator economy? Huh? Never knew anything about that stuff until I started seeing traction and all the same reactions I was getting in my classroom, I was starting to get, on my channels. And my live shows. And so I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is where real education should eat, sleep, and breathe. And it just kind of grew from there. As you know, it just constantly evolves. And that's kind of how it all started. I know that's a long story. Sorry.
That's great. That is great. So you are a legit professor
Yeah,
turned creator. Um, so I have so many questions for you.
please.
So one thing I find really interesting is in my mind, I feel like I always thought that being a college professor was sort of like the epitome of, um, in your field, if
That's what I
you're
thought.
teaching, that's like that's it. You've made it. Like, of course, now, people say like those who can't do teach, but
Right.
in my mind, I always just thought that like professors are there because like they know everything and they have all of the experience.
And believe me, they think they do. They do think they know everything.
And so tell me about, gosh. All right. So what I want to do is what I really want to know selfishly is
Please.
for those of us who have kids or we know kids, we have kids in our lives who like kids have been saying for a very long time, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up
Right.
or a gamer or now a TikToker or whatever,
Same with my kids.
And like that's not new. People have been kids have been saying that for gosh, like at least 5 years, if not like maybe 7, 8 years, almost as long as YouTube has existed.
Yeah.
And, I'm a college graduate and I'm a content creator, but the the atmosphere of my kids are 16 and almost 12, both girls. The atmosphere is the same now as it was when I was in middle school and high school, which is like, we're preparing you to go to college. And yet my 12-year-old is like, "I'm not gonna go to college, I'm gonna be a YouTube creator." And it's funny how, like,
Look at mom.
even though I'm kind of like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool," but on the other hand, I'm very influenced by society and, like, "Yeah, but you probably should still look at college, and you still probably should, like, explore these other avenues," and it's like a cognitive dissonance in my brain of like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, how do I parent this person?" When I do what I do, but I know that she's gonna go to high school and be, talked to about college. So what in the world do we do? What do we do about, number 1, college? Number 2, with kids who legitimately want to be in, like, they say they wanna be a YouTuber, which could mean so many different things, but, like, they wanna be in this creative creator space.
Mhm.
What do we do with these kids?
Yeah, no, I think that is like one of the hottest, most important questions right now happening, especially with people who have kids and parents. Um, it's really, really important that I think we allow our kids, to really engender these opportunities because this is just going to grow. The creator economy has just begun. The creator kind of industry is growing exponentially. People are not just shooting videos on their phone and having fun, but they're actually building empires, right? And they're sustaining themselves and they're building careers. I've said this a million times, I'll tell you a little quick story. I remember during the pandemic when my kids were all home, doing online school. And I remember coming downstairs and taking a break. My office is upstairs. And I remember coming downstairs and my wife was overseeing the kids, on Google Meet or whatever, or Google Classroom. And I could overhear the teacher talking about things and teaching the kids. I mean, like things that like Siri could do, like Alexa could do, and that had absolutely zero resonance with what's happening and what I think really kids need in the real world, which is critical thinking, the ability to think for themselves, self-reliance, um, leadership skills, audience psychology skills. And I just remember being so chagrined and so disappointed. I told my wife, "Gosh, you know what? If if this teacher actually wanted to teach these kids anything, she should have a project where everybody starts a YouTube channel." Why? Because you know this better than anyone, Meredith. What it takes to run a YouTube channel. It takes not only does it take grit, perseverance, hard work, all the mental aspects, but you have to have and you will utilize and you will accrue amazing communication skills. You will learn about how to treat people, what makes people tick, human behavior, psychology, which is so vital for any industry you go in, any vertical you go in, right? The ability to anticipate, the ability to cater, to serve customers, an audience, coworkers, politics, et cetera, et cetera. Those skills are life skills that completely transcend any industry, right? Marketing, business, all the skills that you need to like run a successful YouTube channel, those skills will live on forever. So even if your kids fail at YouTube, which I mean, you and I don't know about you, but I've run many, many channels that have failed, and that's fine. It happens, and many, many businesses that have failed, just like pretty much anybody who's successful.
Mhm.
Those skills are going to translate, and those skills are going to serve them for the rest of their lives. So it's really interesting. I want my kids, like my son already wants to do like a gaming YouTube channel. He's almost, he's just turned 11. He's almost at that age where he can do it, and I'm going to definitely help him. I don't know if my daughter wants to do that. I just kind of want them to be their own people first. They see me with my channels, they see me with my live streams, as I'm sure your kids see you, and
Mhm.
they're interested, and and this is definitely something that their generation, it's like, I don't want to be a football player. I don't want to be president. I don't want to be, these things that we wanted to be when we were kids,
Right.
like an athlete or whatever, or a fireman or anything like that. Like I want to be a streamer. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be these. It's a completely different generation. It's a completely different mindset. And these, now with all the new latest technologies, it's just getting more and more. There's more and more opportunities. So I think what I'm gonna do with my kids is I'm going to try to nurture that. I think life has a way of taking care of us with or without our interruption or interference.
Mhm.
So I have confidence that even if they stumble, mumble, fumble, fail, etc., it's going to be okay as long as I support them in whatever they do.
Mhm.
Now, if you're really asking me, the real question I think you're asking me, Meredith, is should they go to college? And is that something I can kind of answer right now, or do you have any?
Yeah, what do you think? Should kids go to
Yeah,
college?
so I think, and I kind of posted. I think I kind of remember what I posted really quickly. Another story, like I remember in 2016, I was teaching at a university, which I still kind of I mostly just run my content business now. I still teach a little part time, but back then I was teaching like 15 classes a semester just to make ends meet because they
Wow.
totally exploit adjunct professors. Again, another topic. um, Facebook Live just came out. I'll never forget this. April 2016. I started a Facebook Live show. The class that I was slated to teach the following fall was a digital literacy class. It was a digital media class, which I've taught those before. I decided to change the entire curriculum, Meredith, to a private, not public, a private Facebook group where students would have to go live in that group and present, something that interests them, a topic, a theme, anything. It could be, I really gave them carte blanche. I try to give my students massive freedom because I want them to really be passionate about it. I don't even care about grades. I've told other people this. I could care less about grades, mean nothing to me. As long as you work hard and you do your best, you're going to be fine. I always tell my students this. Um, the administration found out, and they literally, I'm not even kidding you, they literally, and I think one student might have said something, and they literally came up to me and said, "You can't do that." And they threw a big giant textbook on my desk and said, "This is what you have to teach. You have to teach this." And I looked at the textbook. It was written in 1996.
Mm,
The textbook was written in 10 years. This was 2016. The textbook was written in a digital media literacy class.
wow.
It was a night, and guess how much the book was? You probably know this. The book was over $200,
Yeah,
right?
I bet.
So you want me to make my students buy a book
Mm,
that has squadouche, goose egg to do with the real world, has nothing to do with the real world, and on top of that, they have to, I have to completely nix what we were all excited about, and I have to completely pretend that this is valid. And they're like, "Yeah, you have to do that." And so just that story alone is kind of, to me, exemplary of what COVID exposed about education, and that is they lack any innovation. They lack any modern applicability. Excuse me, I apologize.
Bless you.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Excuse me. And so the reason I'm telling that story, Meredith, is because should you go to college? I feel personally, and this is just me, this is just my opinion, and I'm speaking from the inside, right? I was there. I personally think, first of all, it depends. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to be
Mhm.
a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, but you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't think there's anything that you can learn in today's ecosystem that you can't find elsewhere outside the university and save yourself thousands upon thousands of dollars. I truly believe in my heart of hearts, the university has zero intention, zero desire to actually teach students what they really should know about. These are kind of, in my opinion, this is a bold opinion, but it's just, this is how I feel strongly about this. I feel that universities now are inoculating our students with whatever they think they should know. It's the exact opposite of a business. Like, I don't tell my viewers, my customers, my clients, this is what you should know. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I find out what their needs are, I find out what their problems are, and I try to provide a solution, right? Imagine if we did that with education, everything would
Right.
change.
Right.
Everything would change, but they don't want to do that. So, again, long story short, I apologize for pontificating. It depends. Like, I would much rather, like, if you have a student or a kid who's like, I want to go to Harvard for an MBA, you're going to spend $250,000. I would rather give you that money and start your own business and
Mhm.
learn real on hand, education
Right.
and learning, real experience that you can actually utilize rather than sitting in a
Right.
classroom paying exorbitant fees for books and listening to somebody who's never even run a business before, because this happens every year and it happens in every business school, the elite business schools, and so on and so on. So if you're going for business, if you're going for a business degree, I truly believe a business degree is not going to serve you other than maybe just a little slot on your resume or your
Mhm.
LinkedIn profile to really get the real applicable, type of learning and experience that you need. Try to start a business. Take that money and actually start a business. So, I mean, I don't know. I just truly believe that there's nothing, we're living in the information age. There's nothing you can learn. There's no topic out there that you can't learn by listening to a powerful, podcast or YouTube channel. I truly believe that.
Mhm. Mhm. So how much of colleges and universities and the whole system, how much of that do you think is just sort of like a sales pitch rather than an actual education opportunity? Is that's sort of my sort of interpretation? Is that would you agree with that?
Well, I mean, they claim to be nonprofit, right? But they're not for loss, right? And so they're competing with each other. To me, it's the ultimate business. I mean, they're constantly competing for enrollment, and enrollment's dropping significantly since the pandemic. I mean, enrollment numbers have dropped like a lot of colleges have shut down, and
Mhm.
rightly so. They should shut
Mhm.
down. So I mean, to claim that this is for the public service or the public good. Look, even if you're a nonprofit, you're not for loss. They have to make money. They have to pay their people. They have payroll. They
Exactly.
have et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And so, excuse me. And so, yeah, it's a pitch. I mean, look at the commercials now. Everybody who's watching, listening, replay viewers, et cetera, I would love it if you'd leave a comment. I know Meredith would appreciate this too. How many times have you gone, watched a show or watched something online, and you've seen an ad for some university claiming this is a university that's best for you. This is where you can learn this, and your degree will earn you this much money. I see them almost every day.
Mhm.
So isn't that what businesses do? They
Yeah.
advertise their products
Yeah.
and services. So why are
Yeah.
universities doing that? Why are these kind of online schools now, these sort of these almost like these trade schools are actually trying to, they're actually trying to sell, the fact that they have specific programs that are designed to help you earn more money. You should enroll here. It all sounds like a business pitch, does it
Yeah,
not?
it does. For
So, I
sure.
mean, to answer your question, I totally think, I totally think it is. I really do. And there's no way around that.
Yeah, and I feel too that, well, now that, like because I have a 16-year-old in the house and we get some college materials, sent to us, and my daughter plays volleyball, so she's been to different, like, prospect camps and volleyball camps and stuff like that. So, uh, there it's like a sales pitch, but it's like to the 16-year-old. It's to the unsuspecting person who it's not their money that's going to be spent there. Like my daughter's like, which colleges have Dr. Pepper in their dining hall? Like that's where she's going to gravitate to. And like we're
Isn't
talking
that
about a
hilarious?
$30,000 difference
Yeah.
between the
Just
Dr.
because of Dr. Pepper.
right? And so in her mind, like the the things that she's thinking about that she values, like in the Dr. Pepper thing is kind of a joke, but we talk about that because it's like at the top of her list to look into when she goes to places, do they have it in the dining hall? But um
Well, you know
there
what else too, Meredith, is they're willing to do universities because they're competing with each other and because they're you go to any university website now
right.
and they'll literally it looks like a business website. They'll talk about the analytics. They'll talk
Mhm.
about how many people have received, jobs, how long after because it's all a pitch. It's all a
Right.
sell, right?
Right.
And so, how many people have graduated and have gone on to these so-called careers or what have you? Here's another thing too, Meredith, and this is an exclusive. I don't think anybody's talked about this. I'm going to say this on your show. I can't tell you in my day, and maybe in your day too, Meredith, although I'm probably a lot older than you. In my day, the professor was the boss, and
Mhm.
whatever the professor said goes. If the professor said, we're doing this, we did this. If the professor says you need to turn it in at this time, you turn it at this time.
Right.
Now, because in this to me really, really cements the fact that it's a business, it's like a customer complaining and wanting a refund. If a student actually goes to the department, any student in any class, or maybe they go to their parents and this is happening a lot too, which is kind of sad. They're going to their parents and complaining, and the parents are calling the dean or calling the department. All they have to do is literally complain once, and they can get whatever they want. They can get whatever they want. Universities are so they claim to be student centric, but they're really customer centric.
Mhm.
If a student like I mean we now they have these things called, it used to be that education was take them out of their comfort zone, challenge them, make them feel uncomfortable. They're there to learn. They're not there to coast. They're not
Mhm.
there to sit in a hammock all day, metaphorically speaking. Now, if you challenge students, if you make them feel uncomfortable, if you trigger them, the professor's done. He's toast. More often than not, that professor will this has happened to me, lose classes or get let go. So, I mean, students have so much power now, so much power to the point where university professors, adjunct professors are walking on eggshells. If you're not tenured, you're walking on eggshells. You don't want to, offend anybody. Which school is supposed to be a place where you experience growing pains. Education is supposed to be a place where all of your views and perceptions are challenged, are, at least given some sort of a contrasting perspective so that you can really take a good look, a big picture, and come up with your own critical thinking choices and critical thinking assessments. That's not happening anymore. If a student doesn't like a curriculum, if a student doesn't like an assignment, all they need to do is complain. It's so abominable, in my opinion, and it's not real education. It's a business.
Right. It's like
If
customers
you
all the
pay, you're
time.
going to get the degree. And no matter what grade you get, you're going to get the degree. If you pay the money, you're going to graduate. It's sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, 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 it's all right. So, the other sort of, I guess, side to the
I
coin.
love the technical questions in the chat.
I know, like, "Help me with my GoPro."
I love it. I love it. Can you help
Um
me with my camera?
um, the other side to the coin to that, I think, is,
Yes.
like, what if you have to go to college? Like, what if the thing you wanna do requires a degree? Or, like, in the example of my oldest, who, like, she just wants to play volleyball, and, like, you're not really supposed to choose a college based on will you make the volleyball team or not, right?
Yeah.
But,
But
I
it
mean, that
happens.
would be the traditional sort of advice, but my
Yeah.
thinking is, if that's what lights you up, why not? Why not go to the school that's going, like, if that is the thing you're the most interested in, you'll learn stuff and you'll take classes and all that, but, why not? So, she's kind of, like, looking at the different schools that she would like to apply to that she could possibly make the volleyball team. She's not a D1 athlete, but, and just kind of, like, looking at the degree programs and, like, "Yeah, I could probably major in that." And I'm okay with that
Yeah.
mentality because, like, there's some statistic that college students change their degree, like, 7 times before they graduate or something, so I'm kind of like, who cares what you choose for your major, because you might hate it, change your mind, you connect with people who are, like, majoring in something totally different that you had no idea even existed, and now you're interested in that. And so, l like, I don't really care. I really don't care what she chooses as long as it's, like, not something, you hear people say, like, "Major in accounting, major in," like, something that's, like, nobody wants to major in that. Like, maybe
Yeah.
some people do, but, like, we're not choosing, I mean, at least for my kids, we're not choosing careers based on the old, like, how much money are you gonna make, and
Right.
are these jobs available, and, like,
Right.
that's the last thing that I think people should be looking at.
Well,
Um
as somebody who kind of started on LinkedIn, way before YouTube, let me tell you something, hiring managers, companies, organizations, they are looking at your college education. Hey, Louis, that's Luis. Hey, good to see you. Tech for your needs. Um, they're looking at your educational part of your resume as kind of just a sort of afterthought now. Whereas when you and I were coming up, Meredith, at least me, when I was coming up, education was everything. If you didn't have a degree, you weren't getting a job.
Right.
That is completely the opposite. It's flipped 180 now. More and more and more. And it has to do with what I was telling you earlier about my story about my wonderful student who came up to me and said, I spent, $100,000 and I can't get a job.
Mhm.
More and more companies are becoming privy. It's just like, this is what I love about the free market, right, Meredith? Like, I don't want to be pessimistic, and I'm hopeful for education. And I think what they're going through right now is a very, very good thing, meaning they need to adjust, they need to adapt. Otherwise, more and more colleges, more and more universities are going to shut down, and the perception of the value of education is going to keep decreasing. They have to do something different. They have to change, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful. But I mean, in all honesty, I don't think there's a position out there. I don't think there's a job out there where the differentiating factor is going to be whether you have a degree or not. It's just not the same as it was in 1987, 1994, even 2003. It's just not the same as it was. But is there value in going to the school? Value going to the university? Of course there is. Of course there's
Right.
value there.
Mhm.
I just don't think that especially for business degrees, in my background, in creative arts degrees, I think it's much more prudent to invest that money into your actual projects, whether it be a business or whatever creative project it is. I had a couple of colleagues of mine and friends of mine who, instead of spending 100 grand on film school, they put that money towards an independent film. And that's way more powerful, way more beneficial than
Right.
spending all that money on a degree in film. If you're an athlete, if you want to be a doctor, there's certain things that I think, a university is absolutely beneficial for. You want to be a Supreme Court justice, you want to be a lawyer. There's plenty of positions, a pharmacist, whatever. There's plenty of things that are still warranted, right? I still truly believe in my heart of hearts, you could probably learn all that stuff outside of spending all that money for a piece of paper. In
Mhm.
my heart of hearts, I truly believe that. I could be wrong, but I believe that in my heart of hearts. But the beautiful thing about the free market is if your product or your service is poor quality, the market will go somewhere else.
Right.
And if you don't adjust and you don't, reinvent yourself, you don't adapt, your business is toast. How many businesses have gone, under because they didn't adapt? Look at Blockbuster. Blockbuster is the
Mm,
perfect example.
yeah.
Blockbuster could have bought Netflix
Right.
in 2002. I think it was 2002 or 3 for just I think it was just a mere 10 million, something ridiculous. I can't remember the number. Somebody can fact check for us. But you know what Blockbuster said? Blockbuster said streaming is going to be a fad. Blockbuster
Mm.
said no. The internet's a fad. And where are they at now? So you have to adapt.
Yeah.
If your product and service is not high quality, the market will decide, and the market will make decisions, and the market will basically put you in your place. That's what I love about YouTube.
Yeah.
If your channel stinks and you're not providing value, you're not going to get views. You're not going to get subscribers. And that's what I
Right.
think education should be. You have too many tenured professors who are just resting on their laurels. If you don't know what a tenured professor is, basically you can't get fired unless you do something egregious or something
Mhm.
criminal. And so there's zero incentive. I mean, think about it. What job is there zero incentive to innovate? There's no, external force or pressure to actually change and get better and grow and learn more. There's zero incentive for
Right.
tenured professors to do anything but just chill. That's just not going to work anymore. And so I think your daughter should look at universities. I think your daughter should do her due diligence, research, find out what
Who has
other
Dr.
people.
Pepper?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because I don't want to be all pessimistic and say all universities are there is no one size fits all, right? There's always exceptions. But for my money, I've had serious talks with my wife, Meredith, and we're seriously, seriously considering the fact that my kids don't need to attend any college or university. That's a serious thing that 20 years ago would have been way like ridiculous to think. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah. And the other interesting thing that always kind of strikes me is that if I have a bachelor's degree, so if I decided, I think I want to teach, I'm going to go apply for a job and teach, be an instructor at a college. I would need to have a master's degree. I
Right.
need to now buy into the system
Yeah.
in order to even be considered. Right. And then there's people that you need to have a PhD. Like I know someone who has a PhD in Spanish so she can teach Spanish. And I'm like, how do you not see the cyclical nature? It's almost like a multi-level marketing scheme, it's like a
Right.
pyramid scheme here
That's
where
exactly right.
you have to pay the 100 grand to get the initials after your name to then teach people so that they can come in and pay us 100 grand. And I wonder if that's why there's a lack of innovation, because like the people that are in it are in it. They're like trapped in it. Why would they innovate? If you spent the money and the time for a PhD, you're not just going to have some lowly bachelor's degree person who has all of the experience to come
Yeah.
in and take your place. Like why would you let that happen?
That's
So
the thing that shocked me the most, Meredith, was, when I was leaving the sort of private sector and going into the public sector and I wanted to teach, I had it in my I don't know why I thought this. I was going to meet amazing other professors who wanted to hang out and wanted to collaborate, wanted to talk about all the cool things that they were teaching and I was teaching, and we could learn from each other. We could collaborate. I'm not even kidding you, Meredith. Not only was there not anything like that, but it was the exact antithesis to that, meaning people they almost like looked at you surreptitiously and with scrutiny and with paranoia, like who are you,
mhm.
like who are you coming in here with all this energy and all these ideas? Nobody cares. We want things to remain the way they are. And really, just bottom line, it's ego. You will never, people think Donald Trump has an ego. You will never find a bigger ego on planet Earth than a tenured professor who's been at a university for over 10 years. You'll never find a bigger ego.
Mm.
There is not a military dictator, alive or dead, that has a bigger ego than a tenured professor. And I've been at every university you can imagine in my area and beyond, and they're all the same. They all think they know better than everybody. And they're unwilling. Anybody young coming up, they look at like a cockroach that needs to be stamped out.
Mhm.
And then you imagine, I mean, I had a professor, I'm not even kidding you, Meredith. I had a professor who actually was proud of their Rate My Professor ratings. They were all like ones and they were all awful. And students would literally say, I'm scared to death to go to class
Oh,
because this professor berates everybody and makes fun of everybody and tells everybody they're dumb. He
mhm.
was actually proud of the fact that his ratings were abysmal.
Wow.
If that doesn't tell you the ego, and by the way, the sad thing is, that's not uncommon with tenured
Mhm.
professors. I got into an argument with a tenured professor on TikTok because I was saying kind of a lot of the things that we're talking about today. And I mean, I wish I could screenshot this and share this. The comments from this guy who was a tenured professor was exactly what I expected. You know, oh no, you don't understand. You can't teach that. No, 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 no. I'm afraid that doesn't work, oh chap. You must I mean, the ego, you'll again, I'm going to say it one last time. You'll never find a bigger ego, alive or dead. Nobody comes close than a tenured professor. Their egos are out of this world.
Wow. All right, so let's shift a little bit.
Let's do it,
Let's
please.
shift a little bit towards
I don't mean to bring dark clouds in the
no,
morning here.
no, no, it's truth clouds. Is that a thing?
I love
Um,
that. New merch, y'all. Truth
bring on the
clouds.
truth clouds. Like,
I like
okay,
that.
so let's talk about the creator economy right
Thank
now
you.
today. Um,
Something good and positive.
and I will say that the a great segue for this is that I think, I mean, my personal opinion is that probably what if you're a kid gonna go to college, probably what would get you hired more so than anything on your resume will be what you have actually proven in your content, whatever platform it happens to be, because you could create content about any topic that you want, go out and get a job in that field, in that niche, whatever it happens to be. Anybody, any smart hiring manager is going to want to hire the person that has the ability to like articulate, talk about it, and whatever it is, whether it's dentistry or, you know, like using a backhoe or something. Who wouldn't want that in their company, you know?
Yeah.
So what what how do you feel about the state of the creator economy right now for those of us who are in it or want to be in it and want to grow businesses online as content creators? How are you feeling about it right now?
I'm super jealous of anybody under 40 who doesn't have kids. I'm telling you right now, Meredith, the opportunity when I first started, you know, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, there was no AdSense, there was no super chats, there was no memberships, there was no, you know, there was none of that stuff. You know, you grinded it out and you tried to find opportunities offsite. You tried to take people on your email. Anyway, I'm super jealous. I wish I was 35, single, you know, and this was all happening right now. If you're under 40 and you don't have kids like Meredith and I, and you're thinking about doing this, this is the most phenomenal, amazing time to be alive because the opportunities that you have right now to monetize what's in here and monetize what's in here are endless and boundless. I've never seen anything like it. And here's the funny thing. Well, it's not really funny. Here's the amazing thing. It's just beginning. This is just the beginning. We're just starting practically. And so I'm super, super excited about the state of the creator economy. These platforms, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, the fact that, you know, they always say that competition, you know, is competition breeds innovation, right?
Mhm.
you always these platforms now, because look, Shorts revenue sharing just came out, and I know it's not terribly great, not even close yet, but it will be. But Instagram now, look at Instagram. Instagram's now saying we're going to put ads on Reels. Facebook ads on Reels. TikTok 10-minute videos. We're going to compete with YouTube. If you're a content creator, if you have any skill at all, anything that you feel an audience could get sublime value from, help from, some kind of transformative experience, even if it's just to make them laugh. Maybe
Mhm.
you've always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Well, guess what? You can be a stand-up comedian now. You always wanted to have your own variety show. You always wanted to create your own SNL. If you're good enough, guess what? You can do that now, and you can monetize. In my day, you had to go through 50 A&R people. You had to go the traditional route. You had to pitch
Mhm.
to NBC. It was ridiculous. You had to
Yeah.
go to open mics in Goober, Idaho, and try to get some kind of leverage and get some kind of momentum. Now you can do everything from the comfort of your smartphone. It's insane. So how I feel about the creator economy, I am beyond excited. I'm beyond pumped. I am hopeful. The future looks insanely bright.
Mhm.
And if you're just thinking about starting, or if you're starting and you're not seeing any traction, just be patient. It takes perseverance. As Meredith said, it's a long game. It's a super, super long game. It took Mr. Beast 10 years, 10 years of creating horrible videos. Mr. Beast, the number one creator of all time. It took him 10 years to get any traction, to get even close to where he is now. So it's very, very exciting, and it's an awesome time to be alive. You don't have to do something that you despise anymore. Where in my day, you had to do things you despised, and this was kind of a side project. Now it's called a side hustle. You can
Mhm.
actually turn your side hustle into your major hustle. It's insane.
Wow.
It's phenomenal.
What do you think, what do you think about the possible impending ban on TikTok?
Oh,
Think it's
yeah.
gonna happen?
I had a channel. It's so interesting, Meredith. Yeah, it's very, very intriguing to me. I had a channel that got deleted from TikTok. This was a different channel, not my main channel, that had over 20,000 followers, was earning money every single day.
Wow.
Granted, it was small, it was the creator fund, but TikTok just deleted it without any warning, without nothing at all. And I was just totally bamboozled. I don't know what happened. So there's a part of me that's like, you know what, screw you, TikTok. But there's
Mhm.
also another part of me that knows the business side of me, the objective side of me, that knows that if you don't have a presence on this platform as a business, as a content creator, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. You're missing out on some serious free attention, right? Which is what, as content creators, as business owners, we always are looking for, those eyeballs and earballs, I like to call them. We need those
Mhm.
eyeballs and earballs. And so if TikTok gets banned, I mean, you're going to have a lot of people out of work. I mean, there are people, I have clients that are making full-time, insane, multiple six-figure incomes just from TikTok, one platform, one
Mhm.
platform. So if TikTok gets banned, you're going to see a lot of people get upset. You're going to see a lot of people out of work. The importance of diversification is the only thing I can say to that, because I do think I don't think it's going to happen. In my heart of hearts, I don't think it's going to get banned, but there is probably the strongest percentage, because I think Trump even threatened this 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
ago or 2 years ago.
Mhm.
But I think this is the strongest chance that it could get banned. It's already banned in India, it's banned in other countries. This is the strongest opportunity, the strongest percentage, I would say. I still don't think it's going to happen. But here's the thing, what we should do as creators, and I know you do this, Meredith. You don't build your property on rented land, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
This is kind of an adage and a maxim in the online ecosystem. You need to own your IP. And so what do I mean by that? If you're just dependent on one platform, you're in a lot of trouble. As
Mhm.
a content creator, as a business owner, I mean, content creator is synonymous with business owner.
Right.
You need to diversify. you need to own your IP. You need to get your audience on something that you can always have access to, no matter what political, rumblings are happening, no matter what algorithmic changes are happening, no matter. I mean, YouTube, it's not going to happen, but YouTube could die tomorrow, right? Facebook could die
Mhm.
tomorrow. It's really, really important that you own your IP. It's really, really important that you have a system, a process where you have access to your audience. You can always talk to them. You can always reach them, audience, customers, etc. That's something every content creator, probably the biggest mistake I made when I first started out was not building my own IP, i.e. maybe my email list. It's everything. That's the
Mhm.
importance of this pending TikTok ban.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I totally agree. And, what I think people are not sort of realizing on TikTok is that you're being jerked around. Like, Zuckerberg he doesn't want TikTok. He would love to have that banned. Who do you
Yeah.
think is behind all this?
Yeah.
And
So
so,
would YouTube.
right? And so I
What do you think of them being banned? What do you think?
I think banning TikTok would be a huge infringement on the First Amendment, first of all. And
Yes,
that I think is the
I agree.
most important thing that I think th th people have done such a good job of villainizing TikTok as being just a silly little app where people are just dancing around, and now there's, like, whatever the statistic is of, like, the number of people that are getting their news from TikTok, which I get my news from TikTok.
Yeah,
And, it's a legitimate place where people are connecting and sharing real, the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio,
right,
like, real
right.
people who live there. They're there. They're not a
Yeah.
newscaster. They're not standing there with a microphone being fed the information to give to the public. It's like real people.
I love the
And
way you said that.
so to shut that down
Yeah,
is like, "Wait just a minute. Let's go back to 1776 for just a moment and remember the importance of the First Amendment and the freedom of press and freedom
absolutely.
of speech, and to say that there's a safety issue with China, like, okay, like, there's probably a solution to that that doesn't infringe on there's a reason it's the First Amendment.
Yeah,
It's the most important one. Like, we can probably do it without infringing on that, I feel like. Um, but when it comes to like, you're totally right on building your audience on rented land. You need to diversify. You need to have an email list. That always seems to be like the single solution to
yeah.
getting your audience
And I
off.
remember I used to think to myself, I don't know if you were like this, Meredith, and anybody who's watching and listening, I remember thinking to myself, that's like the unsexiest thing on planet Earth. Like, I don't wanna build an email list. Ugh, it sounds I mean, it just there's nothing attractive about it. But guess what? It's super easy. It's not difficult. Just like you would have a strong CTA, a strong call to action, or an incentive lead magnet, we call this. It's really not super difficult to do, but it is
Right.
paramount to your business's success in today's creator economy. And so, one more thing I wanted to add, if I may, Meredith, about TikTok. And we don't have to talk about this because this is probably, by the way, I'm going to have Meredith on our creator economy podcast too, because she is phenomenal. Um, this whole idea of data privacy, like, I don't know about
Mm,
you, Meredith. I think people make a huge deal out of this. Personally, I want customized and personalized ads.
mhm.
Why would I want ads served to me that have zero relevance to me? I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for me, the consumer. It's a win for the platform. It's a win for creators, and it's a win for the business because they're offering a solution. If it's a good enough product, they're offering a solution to me that hopefully will solve my problem. Why do
Mhm.
I want ads served to me that have zero relevance to me? So this whole idea like, "Oh my god, TikTok's stealing my data. Harvey, what am I going to do? Harvey, they're stealing nobody cares." I mean, they actually think like Mark Zuckerberg sitting in the bushes Nobody cares about
With
you.
binoculars.
Like, you're not that important. Nobody cares. Trust me. Like, I mean, this whole idea of people being so nervous and scared. China's watching. No, they don't care. We're their number one customer. Why would they want to mess with that?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just funny to me. I don't want to get on a tangent, but this whole
No,
idea
I
that they're
agree.
banning it because of privacy and data is kind of ridiculous.
I totally agree, and I think, like, I just kind of feel like whoever wants to have data on anything they want probably already has it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy it, if China wanted it. I saw something just yesterday or today that was like, if China wanted all of the citizens of the United States data, they would have bought it, not created a made up TikTok app to try and get us to use it. Like, that's something way
Exactly.
harder than just buying it.
Plus, I mean, you're anytime you go online, anytime you do anything, like anytime, I mean, it's like this data, it's gonna be aggregated, whether you like it or not. It's gonna be, and by the way, if you really truly understand this idea that you're not that important, it's actually good for you
Right.
because the more they understand you, the more
Mhm.
they're able to serve you the kind of things that are find interesting. I don't want to be served things that are not interesting to me. And so, and not to get political, but even in that front too, it's like you have to kind of be more proactive. If you want different opinions, if you want different, I get the whole philosophy that, well, what if you're only being served things that reinforce your views and you're not being
Right.
challenged? I
Yeah.
agree with that. I think you have to be more proactive. You can't just sit back and
Mhm.
have your media cater to you all the time. You got to be more proactive. And this is where critical thinking comes in. It's where getting back to our kids. I want to teach my kids not what to think, but how to think. I
Mhm.
think that's important.
Mhm.
It's not what to think. I don't want them to think, you should always be pro this or pro that, or you should whatever. I want to teach them how to think, meaning take information, do your due diligence, research it, analyze it, look at it from different sides, and then come up with a thoughtful conclusion. To me, that is what our forefathers, that's what Thomas Jefferson, that's what Ralph Waldo Emerson, Walt Whitman, this idea of self reliance. We're
Mhm.
losing that in this country. Self
Right.
reliance is something that we're letting other people do for us. We're letting universities do for us. We're letting professors do for us. We're letting our employers do this for us. We need to take control of our own way of looking at things, and we're not doing that enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've been chatting for an hour, which I knew an
Sorry.
hour would fly
Yeah.
by. But where can people find you, connect with you, and hear more about what you have to say about the creator economy and being successful
Yeah, so we
online?
have the thank you so much. First of all, awesome, awesome show. Thank you so much for having me,
Thanks
Meredith,
for
and
coming.
absolutely my pleasure, and I look forward to having you come on our podcast as well. And that's what if anybody wants to find me, you literally just Google Professor Nez, and you will find me everywhere. I would love it if you would come hang out with us on our Creator Economy podcast. If you're a content creator, a business owner, or even a personal brand or professional, and you're looking to monetize your skills, creativity, and experience and grow an audience, come hang out with us because that's all we talk about. And we also talk about other things too. We talk about mindset, we talk about messaging, we talk about communications, all the good stuff that you need to succeed in the creator economy. And we'd love to have you. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, Amazon Music. We're now on a YouTube podcast. I know you
Yes.
probably are excited about this, Meredith. YouTube podcasting. I'm not even kidding you. I just literally last night uploaded my thumbnail and got my aggregated my list for my
Me
my
too.
podcast. Did you do that too?
Yes. Yes, and
I'm
I've
so
been
excited about
waiting.
YouTube podcasts. I think
I've
that's
been waiting
huge.
for it because, like, this live stream is going to be a podcast episode on my
Yes.
YouTube podcast because I love how you just add it to a playlist and it now I haven't figured out whether, like, there's no RSS feed to, like, put into Apple and Spotify and stuff. So where does it go from here, beyond YouTube? I don't know. I hope there's an answer to that. But yes, I love it. I just set mine up yesterday.
I
So
think I think if you already have, the only thing I think that goes into the YouTube podcast is if you actually produce it on YouTube, right?
right.
So I think, and by the way, getting on the YouTube podcast homepage is a potential now.
Yeah.
Which if you're a podcaster, and I know Meredith is an awesome podcaster, if
I'm not
you're
really
a
not an awesome
podcaster
podcaster, but
well, you're an awesome interviewer and you're an awesome content creator, so naturally you're an awesome podcaster and you're a great conversationalist. That's all you need to be. But like, for us podcasters, so my podcast is in its 8th season. We have been lacking discoverability. We've been
Mhm.
lacking discoverability because if you've ever tried to search for something on Apple, it's ridiculous.
It's hard.
If you ever try to search for something on Spotify, it's a little bit better, but not that much better. And now even Spotify is doing this. But the fact that imagine your podcast can show up now on the second largest search engine on planet Earth, which is YouTube, is amazing.
Yeah. I hope it'll be huge because, um, yes, it is about time. It's
Well,
about
think
time.
about it. If you have, and I know I don't want to monopolize
No,
your, I know
you're
we all
fine.
got to go here soon. Here's the thing that's really cool is this, Meredith. The thing that YouTube values most is watch time. The thing that YouTube values most is retention, right? And so think about it. If you have a podcast that shows up on the podcast homepage and you've created your quote unquote playlist and you have 10, 12, 13 episodes, let's say, imagine the bingeability of that. Revenue, watch time, growth, more discoverability. Because YouTube goes, wait a minute, they're watching Meredith's podcast. They're watching 4 or 5 episodes. That gets pushed out. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nez, for coming on and spilling all of the truth clouds. Is that what we called it? Clouds of truth. Yeah, truth clouds.
My
Um,
pleasure.
raining truth from the truth clouds. This is great. Thanks all for chatting with us live. And this will be an episode on my YouTube podcast. So yay.
That's awesome.
See ya.
Thank you.